Honestly, if you think you know Scott Summers, the X-Men Cyclops, just from those Fox movies, you don't really know him. Get ready to dismantle that image. Because the truth about Cyclops is way darker, more complex, and downright insane compared to anything we've ever imagined. He's not just a hero, he's a strategic weapon, a walking paradox, and living proof that Xavier's dream of peaceful coexistence can, under extreme pressure, morph into something terrifyingly effective, and sometimes brutally ruthless. The question that haunts us and should haunt every fan and critic is this: is Cyclops truly the most disciplined hero among the X-Men, or is he the most dangerous strategic weapon ever forged from Xavier's dream, a tool born out of necessity and pain? The answer, I promise you, will spark fierce debate and split opinions. Think Captain America, the symbol of hope and unwavering morality, a beacon of righteousness. Now, picture someone with that same ideological rigidity and unshakable dedication, but forged in a far crueler fire, wielding a power that, if unleashed uncontrollably, could level entire cities and wipe out populations. Or, for a more provocative comparison, sure to ignite discussion, think Magneto, the revolutionary who believes in mutant supremacy and survival at any cost. At critical points in his journey, Cyclops isn't far from that fine line, but with a discipline and pragmatism that make him even scarier and more unpredictable. This guy is a problem, a necessary problem for his species' survival, maybe, but a problem who carries the weight of the whole world on his shoulders and destruction in his eyes. This is heavy stuff, and we're about to dive deep into the layers of his existence, unraveling what it really means to be Scott Summers. To understand Cyclops' anatomy, we have to look beyond the obvious. He's not just a mutant body, it's a body that defies the laws of physics and biology, an organism adapted to channel pure concussive force. His genetic mutation allows him to shoot devastating optic blasts, but what many don't get is the origin and mechanics behind this power. His eyes don't shoot lasers or heat, they act as portals to an alternate dimension, the so-called punch dimension, or kinetic energy dimension. That's where he pulls the raw, brutal energy that manifests as those iconic red beams. The craziest part? How his body withstands the constant release of this interdimensional energy without self-destructing. Marvel's pseudoscience explains that Scott's body absorbs solar and ambient energy, using it to keep these portals open and, crucially, to protect his own physiology from side effects. His physical endurance, while not superhuman in the traditional sense, is above average, a product of intense military training and tactical discipline that turned him into a combat machine. He's an elite mutant, a high-performance athlete who's made his body an extension of his will, a shield and a sword. And, of course, there's the iconic ruby quartz visor, not just an accessory, but a vital necessity. His neurological condition, stemming from a traumatic brain injury in childhood, a plane crash that left him orphaned and with amnesia, prevents him from naturally controlling his powers. The ruby quartz is the only material that resonates with the frequency of his energy, blocking it and allowing him to release it in a controlled way. It's both a prison and a tool, a constant reminder of his own danger. Comparing his physiology to real human limits is like comparing a candle to a nuclear reactor. There is simply no comparison. He's a mutant, an evolution, and his biology is a testament to nature's ability to create the extraordinary and the terrifying. Cyclops' powers are, at their core, a manifestation of raw force and absolute control. His optic blasts are devastating, capable of demolishing reinforced concrete, piercing metal alloys like adamantium under certain energy concentrations, and even disintegrating smaller or unsuspecting foes. But Scott Summers' true power lies in the tactical precision with which he wields those blasts. With his ruby quartz visor, he doesn't just contain the beams, he modulates them with a mastery few superheroes can match. He can adjust the width, intensity, and duration of the blasts, turning them into surgical tools to disarm opponents without injuring them or demolition hammers capable of leveling skyscrapers. His combat reflexes are razor-sharp, his mind a tactical computer processing variables in milliseconds, and his strategic leadership unquestioned, even recognized by his greatest rivals. He's not the strongest or the fastest, but he's the most efficient, calculating, and deadly on the battlefield. The theory of his eyes as portals to a kinetic energy dimension is fascinating and makes us question the very nature of his power. Is it purely energetic, a manifestation of his mutant bioenergy? Is it interdimensional, a link to a parallel reality of pure force? Or is it a unique form of mutant metabolic conversion, where his body transforms ambient energy into concussive blasts? Marvel's pseudoscience offers some answers, but many questions remain, adding a layer of mystery and intrigue to his power. What's certain is that his power transcends human understanding, operating on a level that defies real-world logic and known physics. He's a master of ricochets, able to calculate angles and trajectories in milliseconds to hit multiple targets with near supernatural precision, turning any environment into a chessboard where he's always several moves ahead. This isn't just brute strength, it's intelligence applied to destruction, a strategic mind that transformed a curse into a surgical weapon. In my opinion, he's one of the most underrated mutants when it comes to using his power intelligently and adaptively. It's not just about blasting, it's about thinking, planning, executing with a coldness and efficiency few can match. This guy is trouble for anyone on the receiving end of his blasts, a foe who turns the environment into his weapon and logic into his shield. But Cyclops' true anatomy wouldn't be complete without a deep dive into his mind. This is where we find the essence of his tragedy and greatness. Scott's extreme discipline is a defense mechanism, a suit of armor forged in deep trauma. The loss of his parents, the separation from his brother, his childhood in an abusive orphanage under the manipulative control of Mr. Sinister all shaped a man living with constant guilt and the fear of losing control. He suppresses his emotions, burying them under layers of pragmatism and strategy because he knows a single lapse could have catastrophic consequences. The pressure of leadership, the weight of being Xavier's first X-Man, his son, all contributed to an ideological rigidity that put him at odds with figures as different as Wolverine and Magneto. Wolverine, the wild, instinctive one who acts with his heart. Magneto, the revolutionary who believes survival depends on supremacy. Scott, at his core, is a pragmatic leader, someone who's crossed moral lines in the name of mutant survival. He's no naive idealist. He's a general who understands that, in a war for existence, sacrifices are inevitable. He's the man who, in my view, had to make the toughest choices, the ones nobody else was willing to make. And that, honestly, is what makes him so fascinating and controversial. He's a hero who allowed himself to become the weapon, who accepted being the villain in many eyes, all to protect those he vowed to defend. This is heavy stuff, and the complexity of his mind is as intense a battleground as any he's faced. Cyclops' extreme feats are legendary but often overshadowed by his Boy Scout reputation or his sometimes controversial stance. However, if we look closely at X-Men history, we see that Scott Summers is one of the most brilliant and effective strategists in the Marvel Universe. He led the X-Men through countless wars against global threats, faced cosmic villains, and on multiple occasions defeated far more powerful enemies using pure strategy and tactics. Think about moments like the mutant resistance against the Avengers during the Avengers vs. X-Men saga, where, even wielding the Phoenix Force's power, he maintained near superhuman discipline. Or when, with a reduced team, he managed to contain and even defeat threats that seemed unbeatable. He doesn't have Hulk's brute strength or Thor's invulnerability, but his mind is his greatest weapon. He can analyze the battlefield, predict enemy moves, and coordinate his team with military precision few can match. His radical stances in defense of mutants, especially after M-Day when the mutant race was on the verge of extinction, show his ability to push beyond conventional moral limits to ensure his people's survival. He became a revolutionary, a leader unafraid to get his hands dirty to achieve his goals. Comparing Cyclops to other pop culture leaders like Commander Shepard from Mass Effect or even Machiavelli isn't an exaggeration. He carries the weight of responsibility, strategic coldness, and an ideological impact that resonates throughout the mutant universe. He is, without a doubt, one of Marvel's greatest leaders, and his achievements prove that strategy and will can overcome any raw power. Scott Summers' origin, as Charles Xavier's first student and right-hand man, is the starting point to understanding the cycle of his life. He started as the idealist, the young man who believed in the dream of peaceful coexistence. But the harsh reality of the world, constant mutant persecution, and the sacrifices he had to make led him down a path of conflict, rupture, and eventual radicalization. His life cycle mirrors the mutant struggle itself. Early idealism, the brutal reality of persecution, the need to adapt, and sometimes become the very thing you fight to survive. The lingering question is whether Cyclops represents the inevitable evolution of Xavier's dream in a world that never accepted mutants. Was the peaceful dream, noble as it was, never enough? My take? Scott Summers proves that adaptability is crucial for survival. He's Xavier's true successor not because he blindly followed his teachings, but because he adapted and reshaped them to the harsh reality of a world that hates and fears difference. He embodies the conflict between idealism and pragmatism, hope and survival. He's the leader who, instead of waiting for the world to change, decided to change the world, even if it meant becoming a pariah, a villain in many eyes. And honestly, that's what makes him one of Marvel's most complex and fascinating characters. He's the man who carries not only destructive power in his eyes, but the weight of an entire war, the responsibility for a people, and the scar of a dream-turned-brutal fight. So, after diving this deep into Cyclops' anatomy, his biology, powers, mind, and story, we arrive at the ultimate question, the one that really matters. Is Cyclops just the disciplined leader trying to keep the dream alive? Or is he proof that even the most controlled heroes can become weapons when the world pushes them to the edge? I honestly believe he's both, and it's that duality that makes him so human and so mutant. He's the embodiment of the struggle for survival, extreme responsibility, and the psychological cost of leading a persecuted minority. He's the most precise weapon ever trained by the X-Men, and also the man who, behind the visor, cries for every loss and carries the guilt of every tough decision. He's the paradox, the leader who sacrificed himself so his people could live. Now, I want to hear your take. Drop a comment below. Who would you compare Cyclops to? Is he more like Captain America or Magneto? Like the video if you enjoyed this breakdown, and subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, nerds,